only in the cross, right? But we've been through over the last it's almost 2 years now that we've been at 323 and 323 missions. And you guys, most of y'all know that what we do is we give men the opportunity to just kind of step aside from the rat race. You know, when the hamster gets tired, he steps off the wheel. And so that's kind of what 323 hopefully is. And we just continue to evolve as a ministry. We continue to realize a lot of things that we've done ridiculously wrong. And, a good thing that God's not dependent on us to get it right. That, He's the one that's ultimately, it's His ministry. And that's one of the things that is always hard for me to learn too, because especially when people criticize what we do and question all the different decisions that we make, sometimes it's hard for me to always remember that, look, this is God's ministry and He's the one that's ultimately in charge anyway. So I just wanted to recognize these guys tonight. We actually gave Knowledge a certificate of completion, I realized today, back in October. Did you have any idea that it really has been that long? I don't think we ever did signed it or anything for you. We gave you a piece of paper, so I'm going to give you a new one tonight, which is still not signed or anything. I need to sign it, and Tim needs to sign it. And then, actually, I want to be able to get them to you as well on some little nicer paper instead of just regular printer paper, because you guys have done a tremendous job in working through this. But Knowledge is October. Daryl and Vic have recently completed everything within the last couple of weeks. At least we changed it on the board at 323, but haven't had a chance to acknowledge them before everybody here. And then over the last few weeks, Tim Rogers has taken over as our leadership team. Here is a group that we call them servant leaders. And it's kind of like an elder team, except we're still working through that process of elders and deacons and all that. But Tim is the servant leader who is now responsible for the day-to-day affairs of 323 missions, especially and specifically the men and the day-to-day operations of the men. And these three guys have come along and have completed everything that's asked of them. Knowledge is actually the only one that I've ever had to kick out. And you didn't have to do that with either of these guys. And I think Knowledge left like 3 times, and then I threw him out like once, I think. But he's continued to persevere, and he's come back, and he's gone out and slept behind Wendy's a couple times and realized that, a bed really is better. And even more so, a bed that's not at the county jail is even that much better. So I think we've learned that lesson, right? Yeah. Daryl came to us from, you were in York, right? And Daryl had actually been at a place sort of like 323, except not a little bit more regimented, I guess. A former Marine guy that ran that place. So I can be really hard to deal with at times, but I don't know that I'm necessarily like a former Marine tough on folks. Some people say that I am, but I don't know.
You're a Marine with a Bible.
Marine with a Bible. Well, that'd be a good person to have with you if you were in a foxhole somewhere or something. But Vic has been like a part of our family for several years now. Vic's actually lived with us before, lived with Tim and I before. And the Lord brought him back through a situation of circumstances, and you've been with us now about 10 months, something along those lines. So what I want to do is I just want to acknowledge these guys. I want us as a community of faith to acknowledge these guys. I want us to pray for them together collectively now as a body, and then also want to pray for Tim and his leadership and stepping into this role at 323, because I want to tell you it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, just in the last 24 hours, he's had to deal with not allowing 2 different people to stay. And that's a hard thing to do, especially when it's cold and it's raining outside. But we have committed as a ministry that we're not going to enable people, and we're not going to do for other people what they're capable of doing for themselves, because this is what I've learned over the years in this ministry. And this is the experts out there on this particular type of work will tell you that You don't want to do for people what they can do for themselves, because the ultimate goal is that you are you're doing your best to aid in restoring dignity to a human being's life. And if you're constantly doing for that person what they're perfectly capable of doing for themselves, you're not restoring dignity, you're robbing dignity. Does that make sense? And the more that you challenge folks to be able to step up and to take those responsibilities and to do those things, and that's why we intentionally don't make it easy. We intentionally tell people that we're not a homeless shelter, that we are a residential discipleship ministry for men who are willing to commit to 10 to 12 months of intensive discipleship. And these guys have all done extremely well and been extremely faithful in carrying that out. So again, Vic, just for the sake of giving you something, we'll sign this later, but I'm going to get you one on real paper. That's your certificate of completion. Daryl, I think I spelled your name right. It says this certifies, this one actually goes back to October, that Knowledge, Daryl, and Vic have completed all the requirements for the discipleship curriculum that's prescribed under the direction of the pastor and the leaders of the church. And so it's not an easy curriculum that they faced. These guys, give you a real quick synopsis before we pray, but these guys are up in the mornings. They all get together around the dining room table. They do a chapter of Psalms and a chapter of Proverbs every morning together. Then they do their chores. Then they break out into work teams. Some of them are going to school. Daryl's been faithfully back in school working on his GED. Vic has almost completed a year in the pipe welding program at Central Carolina. Knowledge, you all know, is basically the director there now of the day-to-day operations of the ministry. And so, they go, they do their work, they do their school, they have recovery support group meetings that meet during the day. Everybody comes back, have a family dinner time together. Mondays, Wednesdays are Bible study Monday night, sometimes Bible study Tuesday night, midweek worship on Wednesday night. Sometimes we do teaching videos sporadically through the week. Friday nights, family movie night. Saturdays is some type of a community outreach. Sunday mornings, they're here for worship at Wise Drive. We read John Piper books. Daryl has been introduced to a couple of John Piper books. He's never going to let me live that down. We always try to challenge folks, give them something harder to read, not easier to read. And then they're always here serving faithfully on Sunday afternoons. And so that's a week. I mean, it's not an easy schedule. Every minute's accounted for. Nobody's allowed to go off anywhere without a second person with them for accountability. Anytime they're with a female, normally there needs to be a third person there. I mean, there's a lot of things in place that we really try to, and it's for protection ultimately of everybody in the ministry. So if you guys would, let's just all stand real quick, and if some of you want to come up here and just gather around and lay hands on these guys, if you want to, that's fine. If you want to come, that would be great, and we'll just pray for these guys. And well, no, I don't want to get into the dating thing yet. Tim's reminded me that they're not allowed to communicate with females much at all while they're in the ministry. So they're allowed to date now. So what we're trying to tell Vic and Daryl is that doesn't mean run right out and start a ministry at the nursing home so that you can pick up women. All right, just be patient.